I'm just gonna watch your first fight or so and get a sense of how you play, and then I'll start talking. Okay. There's a lot of good and bad, but almost all of the bad actually stems from one core issue. Uh, and that is, like, as I'm going back 5 seconds at a time, what is your point of view? You are looking at them, they are looking at you. You're face first. Yeah? All of this shit you're doing, all of it, is so much more effective if you're... I mean, this is risky as fuck. I wouldn't necessarily do this against their comp in particular. You'll get rolled, but just to give you... to get you the juices flowing, the idea. Coming around this side, or what I might actually do this game is come around this side. This is... you got to be careful. Like, I would do this because I trust myself to be able to bait the Doomfist, bait the hook, and dodge those abilities if they come for me. And otherwise, I am just, like, here you get to lay in the damage. And the most important thing about being on an angle like this is if they turn to look at you, they're turning away from your team. Yeah? So, I'm not saying you want to, like, abandon your team. Obviously, you want to keep them in your aura. But if you want to go for a play in all of this, like, 20 seconds or so that you were here, this would be the play. And if you wanted to just chill with your team and play with your team, then you want to be higher up on walls. Careful about this soldier, but he's really the only one that can fuck you if you're high up on a wall. And getting damage in over the shields at the very least. So at the very least, they have to look up at you to do anything about you. When you're all in a line like this, they literally just get to spam down one tiny narrow area, and their damage is almost guaranteed to land. And nothing is distracting them away from the fight. Nothing is pulling their supports away from them when they're most needed, or pulling the DPS out when they need damage, or whatever. Yeah? So, like, I see a lot of the good in what you are doing, and, like, you get to cover before you... Like, you take a lot of unnecessary damage, but you at least get to cover. Like, you don't die for it. A lot of this is really smart, and all of the dumb, I guess, of it comes from the fact that they see you, you see them, you're just looking at each other straight on, yeah? Uh, yeah. Yo, hey, Tramer. Also, if you have any questions about any of this, like, please feel free to let me know, yeah? Did you have your boop? Yeah, so, micro thing, but that Doomfist jumping in there, as soon as you see this, where is it? Boom. You see that, you boop that. Boop him back, yeah? You don't want that damage to land, not just because of the damage, and it forces Lamp too, which is unlucky, but it also gives him shields. So if he slams in face first like that, that's actually a bonehead move, because of you, because you are there specifically. If you had booped that, he lands here, just face first in front of your team with no shield health. He fucking dies, probably, hopefully. I mean, ranked is a shit show, so you never know, but, like, it's likely he's gonna die there. Boop. Still slow-mo. Yeah, you're, you play cover reasonably well. Like I said, you do take some unnecessary damage, but for the most part, like you're playing cover pretty well. Uh, you wanted to go for a play there. And I'm not even saying that it was wrong to go for a play there. You just had two options. One is peel back with your team and give them aura and let your tanks push point and chill back. Yeah? And that's a passive play style, but it's perfectly valid. And like early in the fight, passive is usually pretty good. To like take a wait and see approach in ranked, especially to just like wait for the play to present itself and then go take it rather than trying to make one out of nothing. But if you did want to go for a play here, I don't think it's entirely wrong. You need to get creative with your approach. I don't know if you whoop, my bad, drop down there or like they'll see that coming most likely, but like you could come here and like come up and over and get a boop there and they might not see that coming. You could go on the long flank and dive their BAP. Like, you got options to make, and it's a little bit dealer's choice. You don't want to spend too much time just now, because, like, your team's probably going to take a fight. So maybe not the long flank on the BAP right now. But if you had made that plan 5-10 seconds ago, you absolutely could have gone and done that. Yeah. Or we just chill back here. But, like, coming to point face first again, that was the mistake. You just take a ton of damage and you can't quite get out, yeah? Oh, dude, thanks for the 100 bits, Powderski.
Let's up the tempo. Let's take it from the top.
Yeah. So, this process will become instinctive. It'll become fast, but for it to be both fast and good, you have to do it slow first. Yeah, you're going to have to think through this step by step. And so your thought process should be, first off, at the very start of the game, look at your team, like who people have locked, and like as they swap, you update this, and think who needs your speed, or I know you play Mercy too, so it'll be the same thing with her. Who needs your damage boost, or who might most need to be pocketed, whatever. But yeah, who do you help on your team? Who do you need to protect? So like right now, I mean, maybe the BAP, like you should keep an eye on him, but he doesn't really need like a bodyguard, like maybe an Ana would or a Zen would. God help you if you're Lucio Zen, whatever, you can make it work. But yeah, you just think through how you personally interact with each person on your team, yeah? Then you do the same thing with the enemy team once you see how they're playing. BAP, I can dive BAP. I can boop him out of lamp, so like you're actually fairly decent at diving BAP, yeah? Soldier, you can fuck with Soldier, but you don't really win the straight 1v1, so unless he's like low or whatever, But if you see him on an off angle or a flank and you can boop him down like from a high ground or boop him out of position or whatever, that is huge. Doomfist, early damage on him before he engages is the best thing you can do. But if you don't get the chance to do that for whatever reason, booping his engages is your next best bet, yeah? Horse, whatever, we're not really fucking with Horse. Hog, you have two options. You avoid him like the plague, or you fuck with him because you're better, yeah? And it really does come down to game, like, is this Hog better than you? Maybe you just fucking avoid him and you look to boop him after he hooks to, like, save a teammate, maybe. But otherwise, if you have the moves, baiting his hook is huge value for your team because you're fast. It is so much easier for you to have the jukes than it is for your poor Torb, yeah? So, like, you baiting his hook on purpose and dodging it potentially saves their life. So, yeah, so there's your starting point, yeah? And then the next part of your thought process is, should I be helping my team or should I be making a play? And if I'm making a play, how much time do I have? Like, is my team going in right now so I can go 5 feet to the left to make my play? Or are they still just kind of poking so I have time to wrap around and go for something a little more aggro? Or, whatever, yeah? you want to be if you go for a play, yeah, Lucio is a playmaker, totally legit to do. You want to go make the play though, the timing is the critical part. You want to be making your play as your tanks are engaging, as they are going in hard, because then it splits attention. Then whether you get the kill or not, you're pulling that person out of the fight. And depending on who it is, that can be huge value, yeah? So yeah, I'm going to leave it there for now. That's already kind of a lot. Like I said, you got to do it slow. You got to just think it through, and you'll miss a lot of opportunities for that, but it's worth it. And you'll just... Eventually you'll just know, yeah? You fought these heroes this many times, you've been on these maps so many times, etc., etc. You just sort of know what you need to do against him. But, like I said, if you want to be fast and good, you got to do it slow first. This is all good. Yeah, speed him out, speed him out, speed him out. He's got DM. Good shit. And now we have beat, so we want to play chill. Another factor in do I make a play or not is this. And I'm not saying never make a play when you have beat, but what I am saying is do not fucking die with beat, yeah? It's like the most painful thing, yeah? The second worst thing you can do. The worst being dying while dropping the beat. That sucks a little bit more. But, yeah, if you're going to go for a play, it's because you are supremely confident that you're getting out of that scot-free, yeah? Otherwise, we just play chill and we play safe because this carries fights. It is one of the best ultimates in the game. It's just hideously expensive. So I want to see this popped out and maybe a little bit slower.
Cease your resistance.
Meteor strike.
Okay. Yes and no. The beat was... This is the fight that you're going to beat on. That was correct. But wait just a little bit longer, yeah? The bongo, it is a lot of damage, and you might have to beat from the damage from the bongo, but nobody's going to blow up immediately with your tanks in front here and like a BAP to support them. And the Doomfist ult, you might have to beat that because that'll kill people, but you'll see the red marker before it comes down, yeah? So whichever one of those you drop the beat on, and you probably will need to drop the beat this fight, just wait until that damage is coming in a little bit more, yeah? As it is, you are helping your team kite back, which is really good, but also look at how far forward you are, yeah? If you are in between right here, you have basically your entire team in your aura. And you could also be like playing this corner here, even now getting damage through the window, which, I mean, there's no way you could have known there'd be a window here to get damage, but it's more the idea of this has cover, opportunities to do damage, and is centrally located around your team. This is like a unicorn spot right now. Like, the number of times you get to be literally in the middle of your team and safe, it's not very often, yeah? You get to choose one or the other most games, so this is like kind of magical right now. Anyway.
Oh, turn it up.
You do get back there. Yeah, but like I said, you helped your team kite back, which was exactly what you needed to do. This was good. You were just a little early on the beat, and a little bit far forward, yeah? Am I still slow-mo? Nope. Just feels. You need to beat a little more forward for Monkey to get it, I think. Oh, did Monkey miss it? You could be right. That's the other thing. When you have your beat, I mean, so you're Lucio. You should always be looking around. Like I said, you're a scout for your team, and even in ranked, even if like we have zero interest in scrims and team shit, and even on console, like I get that people being in comms, let alone listening to them, is incredibly hit or miss. I'm not saying this is like a magic bullet sort of answer, but you calling shit out, calling out flankers, calling out things that you see, like calling out ultimates that you think they have, etc., to your team, will absolutely carry at least some games some of the time, yeah? So play for the information you get along with everything else. Play to see what the fuck is going on. And so that doesn't necessarily mean always be behind your team and be back, but it means if you're going to go aggro, you don't go in front of your team. Like I said, you come, if you're to the side here, this is really far forward, but you can see your team as they come out, and then we could wall ride out of this door. As an idea. I'm not saying this is necessarily what you would want to do. I'm more like illustrating in this moment how we can be aggro and forward while still seeing our team versus this, yeah? So play to see what the fuck is going on. You don't, like I said, you don't strike me as a particularly dumb player by any stretch. So just giving yourself better information, you're likely to make a lot better choices, yeah?
Move to the beat.
Yeah, my thought process was trying to save Monkey, but he had ult anyway. Yeah, knowing what ults everyone has, I mean, ranked, like I said, ranked is a shit show. That can be really hard. If your Monkey has Primal, you should assume that you don't need to beat for your Monkey. And if he dies, he fucked up. It might still happen. Like, ranked is a shit show. But more importantly, if you have like, for example, BAP, actually, Lamp and Beat can counter a lot of ults. So any given game, whether or not this BAP is in comms and actually listens, who the fuck knows? But on some games, if you're like, hey BAP, I'm going to beat this ult, can you lamp that ult? That will prevent you from stacking them, and that will be a difference maker in some of those games. And you asked the question, why can't I stay in Masters? Honestly, a little bit of it is, like I said, your approach, taking these angles better, but the rest of it is, it really comes down to all of the edge cases and how they all add up, if that makes sense, yeah? The 1 game in 10 that you talking to your BAP makes the difference. The 1 game in 10 that you don't make this particular mistake, etc., etc. It gets very grindy from Masters on up. Diamond to Masters and just staying solidly in Masters, that's all the angles. That's the angle stuff, yeah? And then Masters on up is going to be grinding out every last little mistake and taking every last little advantage you can get anywhere you can get it. Some dude on the enemy team got toxic as fuck when we rolled them, blamed them not having comms. We literally had one person in BC, me. Yep. Is it just me, or does the audio sound weird now since I, like, put it in slow-mo?
Healing boost.
Like, it sounds like the audio is still slowed.
Time to
But it's-
accelerate. Healing boost.
So,
Yeah, let's pick it up.
here we look a little bit lost. I too started out as a console Lucio, and I too had this problem. You're a reactive player, yeah? You wait to see, well, I shouldn't say you always wait to see what happens, but like, yeah, nothing really is happening, or multiple things are happening in multiple places, and so you're just lost in the middle trying to figure out what the fuck you need to be doing because you didn't have a plan in advance. And so this falls back to the at the beginning of the game, who do I speed or pocket? Like, who on my team do I help or protect? And who on the enemy team do I mark? So in any of these moments where you're just not really sure where you need to be or what you need to do, as a starting point, pick one of those. Pick somebody who you can speed, somebody you can pocket, pick somebody you can protect that you're worried about, or pick somebody on the enemy team you can mark and deny. And mark and deny, like, killing them obviously denies them, but at the very least, like, I've been talking to you about how strong taking these angles are. Well, one of the best plays you can make on Lucio in particular, because of your mobility and your boop, is literally denying enemy DPS from taking those. Yeah? Sometimes you can even deny tanks from taking those. Yeah? If it's a high ground and you boop people down, you can deny those off angles that are straight up what win fights and win games. Yeah? Shit, where was I going with this? I had a whole ass point. My bad. Welcome to the channel. I'm ADHD as fuck. So sorry. I just took my meds. They'll kick in eventually.
Meteor strike.
Let's get you healed up. Move to the beat.
Sounds fine? Okay, cool. Oh, right. I remember. Yeah, so when you... There are right and wrong answers to, should I protect somebody, should I pocket somebody, or should I mark somebody? But the answer to that is way, way, way too complex to, like, give you any kind of simple answer. It is entirely dependent on the game, and experience will help, yeah? Experience and just thinking about what is going to get you the most value in that game in particular. Yeah, my support's always dead, I should protect them. This Doomfist is causing chaos, I should mark them. My Cassidy is popping the fuck off, I'm gonna go pocket them. You know, whatever. But as a starting point when you're lost, literally just pick one. This is a decision you can make fast, and you should. And then just let experience inform when you chose right or not, yeah? But that way, even if it turns out to not be the optimal thing you could have done, you are at least doing something that is positive value for you and your team, yeah? It's at least something at all times that you are getting value. Okay. This is a little bit weird, but generally speaking, whenever ults go off, your team, their team, whatever, you usually want to speed and amp speed if you have it. But this is a weird exception. And the exception is because you have a monkey who's jumping in. He doesn't, like, your speed doesn't help him. Diva looks like she's flying in. Speed doesn't help her. Everyone else that's in your aura, they are not going to move. Because of this window, they're going to be using it. And critically, and nobody, or Lucios don't think about this. I didn't think about this until somebody complained to me about it. A lot of people use A and D to aim. So when you amp speed, their aim goes to shit. Just as they most want it through window. Yeah? I'm not saying don't speed hit scan or whatever. Like, speed is what you do. You gotta speed. But in an edge case like this, you didn't get any benefit from the speed. You just potentially fucked up some people's aim. And that was kind of it. Because the people who stayed in your aura weren't even moving. Hadn't thought of that? Yeah, no. I played Lucio for well over a year before somebody was like, can you stop fucking amping speed on me? It was like an Ashe player or something. Because they just couldn't hit a shot. So yeah, most of the time, yeah, speed. Like, if you had tanks that were going to stay in your aura and use your speed, speeding your tanks is more important than the potential of maybe fucking up your Cassidy's aim. Yeah? But, like I said, this was an edge case, so thought I'd point it out. Good. Yeah.
Score 1-0.
Do you have any questions so far? Oop, went too far.
Turn it up.
was trying to think real quick. I guess the angle control that I've been talking about a lot, like I said, that's probably Masters. That probably gets you solid, like, staying into Masters. From there on out, in addition to the just grinding out the mistakes, your mechanics aren't bad, but Lucio from Masters on up has to be able to frag. Like, it's not just outputting damage and pressure and etc. You have to be able to fairly consistently just go split and kill somebody. And doing that against other Masters or GM players. So they're going to have good movement, they're going to be shooting you and not missing, etc. So, like, that's easier said than done. My advice there is play a shit ton of deathmatch. Like, when you're in queue or to warm up or whatever. And specifically search for try-hard free-for-all lobbies in, like, the custom game browser. And go into try-hard lobbies, lock Lucio, and just do your best to learn your matchups and frag. Because that'll be, like I said, it's every little advantage you can give yourself. And the ability to just go kill the person that needs to die on the enemy team when somebody on the enemy team needs to fucking die, that's huge. Yeah? Really appreciate how detailed I made. Awesome. Great. I'm glad. Cool.
Hey, audio
Bad guys, kids.
Yeah. To be fair, wall riding while aiming on controller is really hard. I imagine you have your jump rebound to like a paddle button. Oh, what? Cool. Oh, yeah, that's what I used to use. Yeah. Just to give you some 1v1 tips. This is... You're gonna have to, like, grind out some mechanics to be able to, like, do this, but it's actually... It's easier than it seems, yeah? It's... For example, being up here, above, on walls, super close. Dance on people's heads, whoever you want to kill. Like, maybe right here, right now, no, because you're also looking at these 5, so, like, you just get fucked up, obviously. But, in a vacuum, this sim is the only person who exists. You want to duel this sim, this is what you're doing. You want to dance on their heads, and just be constantly moving around them super close. Because when you're looking down like this above them, you actually don't have to move your aim in, like, an insane amount, compared to them who have to keep 180ing and, like, trying to do this. And it's really hard, yeah? And then you combine that with the fact that Lucio's projectile is roughly the size of the moon. And you're above them. So you hit tons more headshots, yeah? It's so easy to hit them when you're in close and above them. Like, your projectile is literally about, like... It's, like, almost the size of her head itself. So, like, if you shot right here, you'd probably get a headshot. Like, it's fucking massive. And so, yeah. Otherwise, if you can't get in close like that, you're just looking to spam at head height as much as you can, and you get in a lot... You can get in a lot of random damage doing that. So, like, see where your crosshair is? Just raise it a little bit. There you go. You do that. Like, I'm not saying you don't do it. It's just, it's not consistent. It's not a hard habit. It's probably something you still have to think about. Is that approximate the moon? Yeah, approximately the size of the moon. You know, it's, I think, a little bit bigger than Zen's projectile, and Zen's projectile is already fucking massive. Like, I'm not saying Zen isn't a high-skill hero. He is, but... Don't flame your Tracer too hard for losing the 1v1 when he like, got to miss by 10 feet and still hit her in the head. Like, anyway. Yeah. I was about to say that was a wasted amp, but your Diva was right there, and I just completely missed that, so that was actually fine. And you have it back before your team really needs it, especially since you guys should have just finished waiting for your Torb. Which I guess is the other thing. So, amp heals, and then turn around and leave. And go speed your team back, like, with just passive speed, and get them into this fight, and let your BAP do the rest of the healing. Yeah? You just want to make sure your Diva doesn't get demeched by some cheeky asshole turning the corner. And otherwise, speeding your team back into the fight would be a little bit better, yeah? Even passive speed is pretty good. It's like 25%. And if it... Nice. Cool. Yeah. So, one of the reasons Lucio can be very strong on King of the Hill maps in particular is because, so you're both leaving spawn at the same time, you amp speed out of spawn, I see that. It lets your team get to the good positioning first. It's always easier to defend an area than attack it. So, like, if you can take up defensive positions first, that's huge. And then, whoever wins the first fight, just math, purely based on the ult economy of this game, whoever wins the first fight usually wins the whole point. The whole, like, this whole round. And this is what happens. They cap the point, and then because it's so much easier to defend than attack, you guys have to build up hella ults to win it back, by which point they get it to OT, you use a bunch of ults and win in OT, but now at least you're defending, and then that happens in reverse. You guys will get this to 99, and then they'll flip it with ults, and you'll ultimately lose. It all the time. All the time, yeah? So, I'm not saying if you, like, win the very first fight at all costs or you have lost. That's, you know, don't just start doing something stupid, but recognize the first fight on King of the Hill in particular is important, and you, on Lucio, can really help your team win it. And that's huge, yeah? So, like, I basically already know how this round is going to go, especially given how much time is left here, but... So yeah, again, that was kind of a bad amp. Most of your amps are, like, they're not amazing, but they're not, like, that bad. But, I say this, Lucio is my favorite hero. He really is. My absolute favorite hero to play. He is utter dog shit. He is possibly the worst support in the game, except... he can multitask like a motherfucker, and I'll talk about that a bit, but if you can be doing many different things at once, then even if those are all small, the cumulative value can be huge. It's why, like, people say he has an insanely high skill ceiling. It's not just his mechanics, it's also just his job and how complicated it can get trying to do 50 things at once. And then the other time that he is not dog shit is for 3 seconds while his amp is going off. For 3 seconds, our hero gets to be OP. Yeah? Like I say, you don't waste a lot of your amps. You only waste a couple. But that's like one of the few times we can guarantee that our hero is good. We really don't want to waste that ever. Like Diva for tanks. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no. Diva and Lucio are low-key the same hero. Honestly. There are some mechanical differences and HP-based differences, but they're basically the same hero. Control high grounds and off angles for your team, while otherwise being everywhere all at once, helping everyone with everything. and also scouting, and also occasionally fragging, and also... Aw. That was a good beat, just a little bit slow. And so let's see if we could have caught this out. Did we... We do see the TP, I think.
Time to heal up.
Yeah. Should have noticed the TP. And you just sort of turn late. So, this is, again, this kind of goes to, like, team things, but it's still good in ranked. It's your job to break this. Like, just flat out on Lucio. Because you're a projectile hero, so you don't have fall off, and you can, like, peek shoot. If there are people who might shoot you back, you can break it at any range, etc. And while you're breaking it, if your team is in your aura, that's part of your multitasking, yeah? You have people in your aura getting some benefit from you while you're breaking it. Unlike if a DPS turns to break this, they're not doing jack shit except breaking this, yeah? You're at least doing a little bit of something while breaking it. Yeah. So we see this TP, we turn, we start breaking it, and that might have let you get your beat off a little bit faster, because you might have noticed the shatter coming a little bit sooner. Maybe not. Like, maybe the beat's still a little bit late, like this was a hard one, and it's still a good beat, but...
Oh, let's break this.
Yeah, any deployables, Torb turret, TP, sim turrets, if you can get an angle on them, anything that is breakable that you can break, you really should for your team, yeah?
God, I am loving this.
Yeah, and we just got a touch. Unlucky. Okay. Cool. And I imagine this is the round we go Mercy. Which case, yeah, okay. So just to wrap up Lucio real quick, because I said I would talk about the multitasking. I realize I've given you kind of a ton to work on. Hopefully that's cool. It comes down to... Well, so, like, it comes down to your thought process at the start, yeah? Who can I help? Who do I need to mark? And you can... And then, by taking good angles, you can start doing all of that at once. So you could be hanging near your BAP while keeping your tanks just barely in aura, as an example, maybe, if they're close enough. Or, like, you know, you keep your tanks in aura, but you see your BAP and you're looking for the Doomfist, and as soon as you see the Doom come in, you run to mark him, or you run to peel your BAP, or, you know, because you see everything that's going on, your aura is just constantly getting value while you run around the map putting out fires, yeah? And in addition to supporting your team, you can also go to make offensive plays, and the biggest thing about that is the timing. I said this once, but I'll say it again. You want to be hitting them as your tanks go in, as they engage. Yeah, when the fight really starts for real, we're not just sort of poking at each other through the choke, because then your play splits attention and gets massive value. And I didn't mention this before, but like another way to like weave all this together is if you have, for example, a Reinhardt that needs to be sped into the fight. Stay with them, amp speed to speed them in, and then as your amp is ending, use your momentum to split to make your play, and then come back to your team, keep them in aura, and then with your next amp, you know, heal or speed, whatever you need, and then with the end of it, you split and you make a play. That's assuming you don't have fires on your own team to put out and whatever, but those are all just ways that you can be stacking your value, yeah? Because like I said, any one piece of your kit, kind of dog shit. But your ability to just do so many things at once because you're so fucking mobile, underrated. It's huge. Okay. So yeah, so putting out fires and making new ones in the enemy team, exactly. Could I have stalled better on that last fight? Not really. You might have been able to like touch, leave, but you needed to get there in time at all. You needed to enter the point with speed, so you wouldn't have gotten back out and around a corner probably without dying anyway. And then getting to retouch again after that would have been iffy. Like, nah. You should, generally speaking, you want to not stay on the point. You want to touch, leave, touch, leave, touch, leave. But I don't think that was even an option in this case. So, like, nah, you're good. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Putting out fires and making new ones is a really good way to put it, especially since any play that you can make on the enemy team, you also very explicitly want to prevent the enemy team from doing to you. Yeah, it's not just these plays that you can make, it's your ability to shut down the exact same thing in the enemy team. Yeah, and if you shut down their play and then go make your own, you're just hard carrying lobbies. Like, holy fuck. Okay.
Thank you, Con.
1. Round 3.
Teleportation
Capture
for
the
the
objective.
Casting healing spell. Birth of the lion. I'm ready. Where does it matter? I'm taking care.
The objective is now
Okay.
I've got you.
That was all fine. Your team is playing grouped up straight on, which is unfortunate. I think for that reason, Mercy was not the right pick. Yeah? Specifically because they're all grouped up. So, you were damage boosting your sim, and in that moment, that was actually right, despite your Cassidy. Like, typically speaking, you as Mercy would want to be pocketing your Cassidy over the sim, but that's because, typically speaking, your Cassidy should be on an off angle. Yeah? I've been talking all this time about Lucio, about creating these angles and taking these angles. Well, Mercy is all about making these angles OP. Yeah? You have a Cassidy that comes out over here and starts poking at people with an just entirely undiveable Mercy damage boosting him, topping him up when he needs it. He gets to hold this a lot longer against a lot more and do a shit ton more with it. Yeah? This angle becomes really, really strong. He wasn't taking that angle, so if you're all face first anyway, Sim's gonna do more damage. Yeah? So in the microcosm of that moment, Sim was the right pick. But the big takeaway here is look to strengthen an off angle. And if your team doesn't have an off angle, you probably want to play a support that can take one themselves. Yeah? Lucio, Zen, Bap, like somebody that can do some damage at an angle. Can't be overstated. Like, it's what wins games. Full stop. Angles win fights.
Casting healing spell. Damage increase.
You can also look to damage boost your baby diva to help her get back into suit faster. Because, and actually that's another way to think of your damage boost, is you help people build their ultimates faster. So if there is an ult that you're close to that you really want, damage boosting that person might be the right call, just to get that ult that much faster, yeah? Dang. And this was a lost fight. Rezzing a lost fight just means your Rhine staggers and they get more ult charge off the Rhine, yeah?
Witches don't die that easily.
If you're down 2 people and you truly believe with this res we can clutch it back, we have ults, whatever, then maybe you go for it. But anything more than that, anything more than 2 people dead and a strong belief, you should not res.
Servants never die.
Dang. We got a little bit lost, unfortunate, but... Yeah,
I'm taking care of you.
there is some, like, little stuff about your Mercy. I'm not, like, trying to say, oh, you're playing Mercy flawlessly, but the mistake here is literally being on this hero simply because of how your team is playing. You will not be able to carry this game on her. Yeah? If you have a good DPS player, Mercy's an amazing pick. Sometimes you can also make a mediocre DPS player good enough to hang in the lobby, and she can be a good pick in that way. But in any game where you need to get more direct value yourself, such as this one, she's just not going to do it. She just doesn't have that sort of impact, yeah? Like, your movement could be a little bit better, your awareness could be like a touch better, stuff like that, but none of that is really contributing to the loss here. The loss, or your part of this loss, is your inability to contribute what your team needs on this hero. Yeah? And we could flame them for that, for not being where they need to be, whatever, but it's ranked. They're never going to be where they need to be. So we just recognize the value that our team needs. Like, what sort of help do they need? And in this case, they need a more damagey sort of help. And specifically an off-angle pressure. I'm not even, like, trying to flame your DPS for, like, oh, they're not killing things, they're not killing things. Has nothing to do with the amount of shots they're hitting and everything to do with where they're standing. You literally just need somebody to stand off to the side and shoot them. It's almost as simple as that. Like, there's a little bit more to it than that, but only a little bit. The round before this, the cast was popping off. I was kind of hopeful. Gotcha. Yeah, it honestly, when you guys rolled out to point, like, very, very first rollout to point, if your Cassidy had come here and you had come with him, that fight probably goes a different way. Honestly, full stop, goes a different way. And then you guys get the first cap, and then you probably ultimately win this game. But your Cassidy went here. It's unfortunate. And like I said, it's the sort of thing where, like, if he knew this, he probably wouldn't be in this elo either. It's not about flaming people for what they don't know. It's about recognizing the value that's missing that we can provide. Yeah? What help do they need? What is my team not good at that I can help them be better at? Yeah? Because there's always going to be things that they're less good at than others, or they would just straight up be a higher rank than you. Right?
Let's get you back out there. My turn. I'm here. Did someone call for this?
Also, to be clear, I don't want to say, like, off-angle pressure is a magic bullet that will win all games forever. Like, at the end of the day, people do have to hit their shots, and, like, if the other team also has off-angle pressure, then it's, you know, which side does it better, and etc., etc. But it is massive, yeah? It is an on-paper win, the realities of the game notwithstanding. Oh, get that touch? Yeah! Good job. You can get that res, maybe. Oh, maybe not. That was a good touch, but you didn't want to stay on point. Touching with Valk and flying around with Valk is good because you're hard to kill, but once your Valk is ending, you need to get somewhere safe and try to try to keep your team alive through their touches and etc. and really stall it out. But yeah. Do you have any questions about any of this? I'm sorry I didn't have, like, a ton for your Mercy. Other games I might have a lot more to talk about out of your Mercy. I'm not, like, trying to say, like, there weren't things to work on with her. But the big problem was just this game in particular, she wasn't going to carry. She wasn't going to be your carry. Lucio might not have been either. Like I said, I honestly think being on a Zen or... I mean, you had a BAP, so, like, Zen or Brig probably would have been the play there. And you play Brig. So, yeah. If you're interested in learning a new hero, I would recommend Bap or Zen just because they hit really, really hard. And if not, no worries. Like, you don't need to. But you do need to look at ways you can get that sort of impact when it's needed. And this is the one I still struggle with sometimes. Whoops. Recognize when it's not needed and you need to just chill with your team. Like, I sometimes tunnel on making plays and then I just get caught in this loop where I'm just making plays. And all I need to do is just chill the fuck out and vibe with my team. So, like, yeah, find your balance. But I have no doubt that you can stay in Masters, dude. No doubt. You mentioned my movement on Mercy could be improved. Was there anything in particular I noticed? Oh, so there was like the bits where like you lost track of who you were GAing to, but you also, I wonder if I come to it. Trying to think. I'm not gonna look for the exact moment, but I like remember a time over here where you like GA'd across to here and you were like boosting somebody and then you GA'd across and ended up like stopping like right here. And there are times where you might want to intentionally cross open space to try to bait something. And like that is totally a valid choice and actually can be a really strong thing for Mercy to do. Like I said, baiting like hog hooks and shit, if you believe you can dodge them, can be great value for your team. But otherwise, you really want to minimize how much you cross open space. Like, you GA a little bit too much. And sometimes we just need to be chill around a corner, beaming who we need to beam, while looking around to make sure nobody flanks us. You know, we're just sort of doing this, and then when we need to GA, we GA, and we're hugging cover again. Yeah? And we minimize the amount of time we cross this. Because that's one of the big things that changes from, well, Diamond on up on PC and probably Masters on up on console, because it's usually about one elo off like that, is the elo where people don't miss anymore. Yeah? Whatever other mistakes they're making and problems they have, and they will, missing isn't the one that they make anymore. Yeah? So any opportunity you give them to just dome you, they're gonna.